different how we see the sun shine. The fog hang low, or we on cloud nine, and a level head is an element of surprise. Surprise. Hello world, we all here to the unexpected events of life. We say cheers. You can cross that street when the road is clear. People walking right past you like they don't know you there. In the hood, like it's a disease to be scared. If your life is threatened, it's okay to go over there. What's good, y'all? This is Black Intel Podcast. Dope Logic, Civil Debating, Fly Intuition. And I got my brother, my mellow, my man, Ghost, Jakino Tyson. What up, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good with you, man?
Man, everything is great, man. Everything is great. How's everything going your way?
Just listening to classics, but everything is good, man. Everything is real good right now.
Listening to classics?
I'm just listening to classics, man. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing, man. I checked out the, I went through the barbershop talk, joint that you tagged me on, or
right.
or got me on, and it's amazing, man, that there's people on there that are like, yeah, Jay-Z, he's cool, he's all right, but a legend, or he's all right, but a top 10, I really don't know. Like what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I mean, that's outrageous. Like, that is outrageous. There's no other way to describe having to have a conversation with. I mean, think about all the people we never did that with. We never did that with. Like, if some knucklehead was like, Whitney Houston, her voice is all right, but top 3 best. Like, what? Like, look, say you don't like her. Say you don't like her.
Right.
I understand that. Like, I understand a preferential thing. You may go, well, when the singers I like are, have this type of voice or that type of voice. Okay, cool. No one's gonna argue that. That's
right.
Just preference. That's just style. But when we talk about, like, just certain things that you cannot refute, you cannot argue. There's no argument. That's one of them. That's an example of one of them. Like, you cannot argue, like, the guy's talent, like, and what he's done with it.
Right.
He's done so much with his talent. Like, and here's my thing. Why would you not want to give him that? Like, why would you, you and I had this talk the other day about Tupac, right?
Right.
I totally understand why someone would not want to give Tupac his props. I get it. I get that. You'll never find somebody that will admit it, unlike with Jay or whatever. And it could just be, because Tupac passed on and stuff. I get that too. There are a million reasons why somebody would want to go, man, Tupac, man, forget him. Man, he did this.
Oh, no. Like, Jay-Z has given a lot of reasons for people not to like him.
Like what? I mean, I'm not saying he's never done anything wrong. No.
Yeah, but it's not what he's directly done to people, though. I don't think it's not. I'm
saying as far as the art form goes, like if you go, well, why wouldn't someone like Salvador Dali, right? The painter, and in the in the 50s and 60s, even earlier than that, he painted like a lot of he had like a lot of eccentric art, like where he would paint nude women. He'd even have photographs of nude women and like create like a surreal, painting around that. And
right.
And so if you were someone that was very conservative, kind of, maybe even a little bit of a prude, maybe that would kind of not agree with your sensibilities, right?
Right.
So if you went, Dolly, you know what? He's a brilliant painter, but I don't care for some of his themes, right?
Right.
I personally would disagree with that. I would say that person's nuts. But I would understand because they're framing it in the scope of their own personal feelings on what art is and what it isn't. But even in that example I just gave you, that person isn't saying he's not that good of a painter or he's a little overrated of a painter or an artist. Even that person in that little scenario I just made up isn't questioning the guy's talent. I'm telling you that right now there's some dude in the middle of Brooklyn, New York, who's going, he's all right. And that's shocking to me. That is absolutely shocking.
All right, well let's get back to the task at hand. Ghost.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Please, I want to know. Our audience wants to know. So, Ghost, where did you grow up, and how did you grow up?
So I grew up in Florida. Grew up in Tampa, Florida, which it's an interesting town, man. It's I grew up in Florida in the 80s, in the early 80s, late 70s, and it was a crazy time, man. I grew up during the coke era, the crack era. I tell people, like, I remember the week that crack hit, the city, and how it changed everything. It changed absolutely everything. And it was a crazy time, man. And I saw all the stuff that that we talk about, that we reference. I saw people being murdered. I saw people being, using and selling drugs. I saw all of that. And it was just a crazy, crazy time. But like anything else, the crack era just it was just a backdrop, though, to normal life. I assume when the Great Depression hit, people, like, that's a touchstone. Like when people say the Great Depression, people that were old enough to remember that can tell you what they were doing and where they were and everything else. But life still went on. People still fell in love. People still went to school. People still did all the stuff they had to do. And but it was just a crazy time, despite all that. But I grew up there, man. My family, a bunch of my family, most of my family still lives down there. Had a great, great childhood, though. Despite that, interesting upbringing, to say the least. But yeah, man. That was really the long and short of it. I've lived in Atlanta now for a number of years. Love Atlanta, great city. A business owner there, and I was a banker for a lot of years, and in finance, and did a bunch there, and went to college at Florida A&M in Tallahassee. Met my wife there. It's a beautiful thing, man. I love fam. Love everything about fam. Fam was just a great time for me, just to grow and to learn. When I got out of school, I spent like another year in Florida, working, and then I moved to Atlanta shortly after that. Been here ever since.
No doubt. So, you Ghost have developed quite a unique hip hop sensibility over the years. Please break that down.
And I didn't catch the last end of what you said. You said the unique hip hop sensibility.
Yeah, I'll just ask you to break it down. Like how did it all start for you?
Man, honestly, for me, it was just really being a fan of it, man. From early on, listening to Slick Rick and NWA and Too Short. Like those were like the early projects, from artists that I listened to, and I just thought it was so unique that a guy from Oakland, a guy from London, a guy from a different part of the country or even the world that had the same experiences that I was having, in 1986, 87, 88, as a kid. Like, I just thought that was so, like, it just blew my mind. Like, how you, in history, man, you read like your history books or what have you in history class, and you read about, like, some period of time that was hundreds of years ago. But what's interesting to the reader is that you still had you still had the same things happen back then that happened today, right?
Right.
Like I said, people still fell in love, people still were born, people still died, people still worked every day, and they lived life around that. But this really unique historical event might have happened, in and around that. Obviously, that made that time special, which is how you were studying it in history class. And my point is that that's what hip hop did for me. Like, it allowed me to see, to like catch a glimpse into someone else's world, maybe at a different time or certainly a different place than the time and place I was living in at the time. It was, and I guess it's always kind of done that for me. I'm very protective of like, being a Southerner, but being really an astute hip hop fan. And I'm protective of it because I feel like, because I couldn't walk down the street and go to those same concerts or see some of those same things involving hip hop for a long time, that it made me work harder to learn the music and to learn more about these artists and these producers and these companies and these different people. So I'm not saying that my perspective on it is infallible. I'm not saying that, but I feel like that really helped shape my perspective that much more, because I had to work harder, to get the same perspective that many people that grew up in places where they had hip hop everywhere did, So yeah, man, I love the music. I mean, I think it's the greatest musical art form ever. I really believe that. I really do.
So Ghost, you are also a producer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell us how you got into that.
I had always wanted to do it. When I was a kid, I rhymed like everybody else, and I was good too. But I didn't.
Do you still have rhymes that you in your head that you remember?
Probably not, man. I'm trying to think.